Coming to you from the studios at the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66, it's the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.
Rock and roll Chicago, rock and roll Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, gonna rock your city, Chicago. Chicago rock and rollers are the best here around.
Hey, everybody, it's Ray the Roadie.
And this is Hollywood Mike.
Hello, Hollywood Mike. How are you?
Hey, you know, I'm doing good. I'm doing real good, man.
Yeah.
What a fantastic weekend we had in the Chicagoland area for music.
Yeah.
This past weekend was really good. Everybody was working, everybody was playing, everybody was partying, everybody was dancing.
That's great.
And people were even showing up to Sunday night jams and stuff. They were all looking like zombies and everything. But,
Sure.
you know, people were showing up and having a good time.
Very good. And
Yeah, it was a good time to be in Chicago.
Yeah, I know that it's November right now.
Yeah.
But right now it's 90 degrees here where we're recording this episode.
So we're always thankful for that.
That's
you know?
right. That's right.
Exactly. So what we got going on today?
Today we got the Wrought Iron Soul band. Boy, why did I screw that up?
The Wrought Iron Soul Band.
Yeah.
Excellent. How you guys doing?
We're great.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Good time.
So which one of you guys is the steel worker guy? The fence, the fence installer.
That's not where we got the name.
That's harkening back to the Mayor Jane Byrne days when you remember there was some controversy about the wrought iron fence contractor or something like that.
Yes. We actually got it when we were deciding the name 8-9 years ago. At that point, what was the original name?
Slim Pickens.
Slim Pickens.
No.
And then I think Mike was like, yeah, that's the name of a guy.
Yeah.
I thought it was appropriate because we didn't get paid a whole hell of a lot. So, the Pickens were slim, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we decided on a couple of names, and the one that stuck happens to be the last words in the last song of the Doors' "L.A. Woman" on a song called "Texas Radio," and the big beat, and they end with Wrought Iron Soul, and so we stole that and made that our name.
Yeah, actually, John, our guitar player's wife, liked the name.
Yeah.
And that's how it came along, and we all finally agreed upon it. So,
Well, my streak is alive, though. Like I try to guess every week, and every week I'm wrong.
Yeah.
that's a tough one, right?
Yeah. But I think Slim Pickens was a phrase before Mr. Pickens actually stole it. So I think you'd have been okay.
He would have been, and he would have understood.
Yeah, I think so.
Especially when it came to, scrounging around for money when you're starting out and hard up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right. So when was the creation of this Wrought Iron Soul Band?
Well, like Tom was telling you a minute ago.
Yeah, we were trying to figure that out. We were talking about it. So it was kind of interesting how it formed. We were in
Tim's basement, our drummer at the time.
Tim's basement.
Yeah, Tim and
not your present drummer.
No, we've gone through a couple drummers.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of the origination of it. And I would say, well, it was your birthday, if I can say it on the air. Your 60th birthday was what year?
That would have been in
2072.
Yeah, it hasn't happened yet. No, I wish. Well, I was born in 1955, so you guys can do the math there.
So 15. So we're coming up on 10 years here.
Yeah, just about.
Around there, yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of how it just originated. And me, Mike, and John, the lead guitar player, have been the three originals. And then Doug, chime in when you kind of came in.
So it was around 2016. So I've been with the band about 8 years. John called me. He contacted me through, I don't know if you guys know about Bandmix.
Oh, yeah, Of course.
Yeah, Bandmix is kind of like the Facebook for musicians.
Yeah.
And so I was on there and he found me and told me about the band. I tried out. It really worked out, and we've been together ever since.
Yeah. I often refer to it as more like the Tinder for musicians, but yeah.
Yeah, I went to Jewel and asked for that one time. The guy looked at me like I had three eyes.
Yeah.
Where's the band mix, man?
Yeah. No, it's technically more like Tinder than it is Facebook, because the more people you come in contact with, the higher your chance you have of getting screwed. No, I'm just kidding. No, I've done that before. I've gone through Bandmix before, and you meet some decent people, and a lot of of times, yeah.
And some weirdos.
Yeah, and
we
some
definitely
weirdos.
did because
Yeah,
we went
yeah.
through a few bass players tryouts before we got to Doug. So I remember that.
So who was the person that made the first phone call, or who was the person that said, let's put something together?
Well, we met the three of us, Tom here, myself, and then John LaMontagne, our lead guitar player. We actually met in Downers Grove at a little place right next to Tobias Music on Fairview, if you know where the White Fence Farm chicken outlet is.
Right.
And they have a guy there, James.
I can never remember
his last name, but he's a professional bass player, one of the best guys around. And he started something called Garage Band U. And so it was a way for people ages literally 8 through 80 to get together and come up with 4 songs and practice it for 5 weeks. And then you play them live at the place in Bolingbrook. What's that?
Tailgaters.
Yeah, right.
And so John and Tom and I met there, and we had another guy who was an Australian who played this wacky, like long yodel type of, whistle instrument that the Aborigines, came up with. And then one other guy who played saxophone, and we came up with like 4 or 5 songs, and we recognized that there was a chemistry there.
Sure.
And we wanted to explore that.
And, the chemistry was between Mike, me, and John. There was about 6 or 7 in there. And again, it's just kind of that band is put together. And that's why I did it. I wanted to meet some more people, and I luckily did. And I think I talked to them kind of after that gig at where was it in Bolingbrook?
Tailgaters. If anybody from Tailgaters is listening, we're looking for sponsors.
Of course.
Now we are.
We're always looking for sponsors.
Long story short, I did feel that with them, and I think I kind of pulled them to the side and said, "Hey, let's continue this." And then we did, and it's crazy if you would have told us then what we'd be doing now and still doing it.
Well, what were you doing at the time when you were looking to meet other people?
Just as far as life or with musically?
In general, whatever you'd like to talk about. I'm sure your fans would love to hear what else you do.
Right now, well, I'm a school social worker, but back then I was in school to be doing that. So that was early on.
And chasing women on the side.
And chasing women. And
getting into a band helps that significantly.
And getting into a band.
Unless you're a bass player.
That's the idea.
Sorry, Doug. But yeah, and musically just kind of looking for something to do, and that's why I did the Garage Band U. So it was kind of fate that we all met. It was great.
When did you start down your musical journey? Were you a young kid, or was it something you took up as an adult?
As far as me, no, I was always loved music, but I had that unfortunate attitude or self-esteem that I couldn't do it. And then my dad bought me a guitar when I was 18, and that's the first time I kind of started picking it up and took guitar lessons, and then got okay with that, and then always wanted to sing, and that was partly why I did this Garage Band U as well. So it just kind of moved from there, Right. So not until I was about 18 did I get into it.
Gotcha. You were going to say something, and I kind of interrupted.
I was just going to say that I also was in Garage Band U. I literally live like 3 blocks from the place.
Okay.
But I didn't cross paths with Mike or Tom. I think I got into it later than when they got into it and met John. But it's interesting how that's kind of a collecting point for a lot of people that then go on and form bands.
Right.
So, we've all 3 of us are, I guess, graduates of Garage Band U.
Alumni.
I guess it just dawned on me. We got right into the conversation, and we didn't take a minute for you guys to introduce yourselves to everybody. So why don't we step back again? We were listening to bass player. Tell everybody who you are.
Yeah, this is Doug Florzek. I'm the bass player.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Happy November out there. This is Tom Fitzer, guitar player and singer in the band.
Okay. I'm Mike Reese, and I'm the other singer. I play some guitar, but mostly I'm a harmonica player.
There you go. Good. Excellent. Okay. Well, now that everybody knows who you are, let's go back on and continue. So you were in Garage Band U. So you were an adult before you started playing. Is that?
Well, actually, in my case, I started playing guitar when I was in college in my 20s. So that goes back a ways, like 79, 80. And then
years.
No, it's not that bad yet.
I was born in 80.
So that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So right when Tom was born,
80,
I started
he
playing
had to throw
guitar.
that in. Did you hear that? He had to throw that in there.
Yeah,
That's right.
Sure.
People born in the 80s always have to throw it in there like they're special. Look, I have no belly button. I was born in a test tube.
So I started out on guitar, and then there was like a local neighborhood group, and we wanted to start a band, but it's the usual story where there's too many guitar players, and I wasn't ever really that great. I wasn't going to be a lead guitar player. And they looked around, they said, well, somebody's got to play bass. So that fell on me. I took up bass, but then I found out I really loved it. I just loved it. And so that was probably like around 1990, actually.
Okay.
So it's been 30 years. That sounds impressive, but you have to realize it was a lot of off and on.
Right.
More off than on.
Right.
So there might be 5 years where I didn't touch either my bass or my guitar.
Right.
And it was like starting over again. So I didn't really get into it until I went back and started playing with the Garage Band U thing, in Downers Grove, and then, met these guys, and then it really kind of took off from there.
So you were kind of using Garage Band U as almost like a springboard.
Yes.
In a way.
Yes, because it was a great chance to, if you want to play in a band, okay, but you don't know how to link up with people to do, this was before I knew about band mix too.
Right.
Because they put you together in a band, you got like 6-7 weeks to get a set of songs together, and then you actually go and perform. And mostly, it's on a Sunday at Tailgaters. It's mostly family and everything that show up, but still it gives you that experience, of preparing, a set or two of music, going and performing live. And you would get a mixture. You get some people that were terrible, frankly. And then you get some people that were just astounding, and, but it was a way to kind of get your feet wet with that kind of thing.
Right. So it sounds a lot like School of Rock or something like that.
Exactly.
Very
and this was
similar.
before School of Rock.
Before School of Rock,
took off. Yeah.
Is that still going on? Is Garage Band still going on right now?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. As is the School of Rock. I did both. The thing I discovered about School of Rock is that you don't really have too much of a choice on what you bring to the table as far as what you play. They'll give you like, okay, you can play from this genre, you can play these 3 songs, or from this one, these 3 songs. But we would rather you stick with one to the other. The Garage Band U experience was such that you could bring in something just completely arbitrary from what you might expect the other guys that you're combining with to do, which is how you come up with this really interesting and eclectic mix of music. But I think that's kind of what gets people really kind of motivated to pursue it, because it taps into things you may not even have thought of.
Right. Okay. All right.
And kind of just giving you the experience too of what you will deal with in a band, of decision making. And like, we did bring in probably 10, 15 songs. And as 6 people that didn't know each other had to come up with those 5, final songs to practice each week, 5 or 6 songs, and, all kind of make the decision about that and work that out.
Right. Did you find that was hard to get the band off the ground in that regard? Like coming up with, creative similarities?
This is post Garage Band U you're talking about, when we decided to go for it? Or?
Sure. Yeah.
I can speak on that first and then Mike chime in. No, I think we have similar tastes in music. I think from the beginning, we always knew that we'd be a cover band, and we liked rock and roll and blues. And because of that premise, we kind of, stuck with some songs that we probably all knew pretty well in the beginning. And that's how it kind of got off the ground, while we're trying to find a drummer and bass player and having a few characters come in on.
Well, and then ultimately what the audience will recognize.
Right.
That's going to be important if you're doing a cover band.
Sure.
They're going to gauge it by what they've heard on the radio and on their iPods or record players, if you're old enough to have one of those.
Right.
So we discovered certain songs that seemed to be those that people would recognize, and that we would try and give a good account of ourselves.
Yeah, I bet Mr. 1980 over there doesn't know what a record player is.
I do. I have an old soul for some reason.
That's good.
Or a CD player, probably.
Yeah. Well, the CDs were around then.
That's true. I was going to say, I think the way we select songs, we try to pick songs that are familiar but not overplayed.
Sure.
So, we stick with stuff that you would recognize if you heard it, but you don't hear it every day on the radio necessarily.
Right.
And yeah, it's been a process in the 8-9 years. And right now, I'm not going to get into the process, but we do have one of kind of choosing newer songs so that it's kind of democratic and we all have a choice on it and vote on it. And then me and Mike are the singers. So that's got to be number one. We got to be able to sing it and then kind of move from there, do a vote and then throw it into the practice and see what happens. And it's surprising sometimes songs that I think this is not going to work out. I don't like this, just like pop in practice. And it's like, whoa, and then some of them that you just think are going to be like, oh, this would be perfect. And this isn't good. Got to kind of throw it out,
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your common thread seems to be this whole garage band you thing. How did you fall into that mix, Mike?
I started playing around with music when I was in college in the early 80s. I just decided I was sick and tired of just listening to it all the time. So I picked up a harmonica. It's a very easy and portable instrument. And at the time they were cheap, not so cheap anymore.
Yeah.
But I started noodling around with it and I was managing a Holiday Inn bar down in Charleston, Illinois, where Eastern Illinois University is. And we actually had these live musicians who would come in virtually every weekend. And I would sort of insinuate myself into one or two of their songs each night. And in the process of doing that over time, I got actually better and better on the thing. And so then I got very interested in pursuing that, but I didn't really know how to do it.
Right.
And so post college, I would just like go into a bar. And if there was a band playing, I would get up there and I'd, pester them until they either, threw me out of the bar or they would let me get up on stage and do something like Working for a Living by Huey Lewis, where there's a nifty little harmonica solo and something like that. But when I came across Garage Band, I realized this was an opportunity to get into something where you were likely to improve just because you were doing it and you were doing it with other people. And I was correct. I mean, we've all gotten better because we've done it on a continuous basis. And now, looking back, it's been 10 years. It's remarkable.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think that we've improved. I think personally I've improved. I play more guitar now and I'm actually, passable on it so that it's not just like, they're going, okay,
he's filler. Yeah. Or he's filler when he's not playing harmonica.
So it's a means of scratching that itch. It's a means of just, being able to play something that you really dig.
Right.
And that you always have. And then getting to show off for your wife and some of your friends is not such a bad thing.
That gets old after a while.
She would tell you that.
There comes a point I've gone through where your wife is just like, you know what, just go. I'm not going to any more gigs.
You don't mind if I stay home.
I was going to say, that's interesting. Yeah. Cause their attendance starts to fade over the years.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. My wife used to go to every single show and now she's just like, just go. Don't wake me up when you get home. That's about it. No, that's interesting. So it seems like you all kind of came up, through this garage band, which is very interesting. Have you ever over the years decided to give back a little bit and get involved in that and pass some knowledge on to youngsters in that regard?
Well, Tom, you work in a high school. I imagine that you would probably have a great opportunity to do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've played with some of the band kids and stuff out there. I just had to kind of think of the question. I guess I give back in my, my talking with them more, but Garage Band as far as giving back to that,
or not necessarily giving back to that. I should probably clarify what I meant is, since you received that kind of tutelage in a way, to kind of mentor younger kids that want to become musicians but don't really know how to do it or are afraid to do it. Just like you said yourself, you're afraid to get up in front of people. And
yeah. So I could say, so I have 2 young sons who I've, in that respect, one of them's definitely interested in music. So I've tried in that way to really give him some options on how to play. Playing music and teaching it can be frustrating, especially when you're learning it from dad, but we've had him take some lessons and things like that. But specifically kind of doing our thing in the band and giving it back that way, Yeah. What do you guys think? Anything?
I've often kind of tinkered with the idea that at some point I would open up maybe a little makeshift recording studio, and not charge anything for, I guess, middle-aged school and high school kids, maybe even junior college kids that are local in the area. If they want to come by and, throw together a couple of songs, maybe originals,
right.
And kind of give them the opportunity to hear what they sound like after being recorded. Cause that's a major thing when you first hear yourself, and you've never really heard your voice before, whether speaking or singing.
That can freak you out.
It's an adult dose. I got to tell you.
To this day, I don't like to hear my own voice.
Me neither.
Speaking or singing. Yeah, it's terrible.
You guys probably have some knowledge about that in history that way too, right?
Well, a little bit. I mean, I guess we all do in one way or another. We have our brushes with young people who, ask advice. How do you get gigs? How do you keep a band together? How do you do that? Just try and be as helpful as possible. That's the one thing about musicians. Musicians are cool people in that way for the most part. But
I think that would be a great idea for the museum to do something like that.
Oh, they definitely will be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys get a chance to
I would volunteer
through?
to help with that if you guys are interested.
Yeah. The plan is to have classrooms here and, and the whole bit. I mean, I haven't talked to Ron Romero, in depth about what actually is going to go on, but there's classrooms downstairs. There's a performance area. There is a recording studio downstairs and it's all there for a reason. So yeah, I'm sure there will be opportunities for that, but
they're planning on teaching everything, musical instruments, voice lessons, sound engineering, lighting. I mean, the whole gamut.
Yeah. Right. Well, all this talk about playing, I think it's that time.
I think so.
I think it's time to put the money where the mouth is, boys.
That's right.
Write a song.
So let's take a short break.
We're going to do that. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast. Hey, everybody, it's Ray the Roadie.
And this is Hollywood Mike of the Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast. If you've been enjoying our weekly program, we have great news for you. Just tune in to Road to Rock Radio on Mondays at 7 p.m. Central Time, and you can hear a rebroadcast of one of our past episodes. Then again on Thursdays at 7 p.m., you can hear our most current episode brought to you by the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66.
So go to roadtorock.org, scroll down, and click on Radio Station. That'll bring you to the Road to Rock Radio, a station committed entirely to the great music from Illinois, from Chicago blues born on Maxwell Street to today's rock and roll and everything in between. 24/7, all music with its roots in Illinois.
Hi, I'm Rick Anthony. I'd like to thank my radio brothers, Ray the Roadie and Hollywood Mike, for allowing me to tell you about my podcast, the Someone You Should Know podcast. We spotlight musicians, authors, and interesting people, and we like to say we're making a difference one artist at a time. The podcast is heard twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays, and you can check it out on your favorite streaming platforms and on the web at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast.com. That's the Someone You Should Know podcast with me, Rick Anthony. Making a difference, one artist at a time.
And live in the studio tonight, guys, we've got Wrought Iron Soul.
inside my shoe. Yeah, I want you to come on down, sweet Virginia. Come on, honey child, I beg you. I want you to come on down. Yeah, girl, you got it in you. You got to scrape that shit right off your shoes. Yeah, I said I want you to come on down, sweet Virginia. I want you to come on, honey child, I beg you. I want you to come on down. Yeah, girl, you got it in you. You got to scrape that shit right off your shoe.
All right.
Okay, good.
Sweet Virginia by the Rolling Stones, huh?
Yes.
Sweet Virginia.
make
Is
sure
that
we
what
don't,
that's what that was? Sweet
Yeah,
Virginia.
Sweet Virginia off of Exile Main Street.
We
All
make
right.
sure we don't misrepresent that name.
I just
in
had to
the
check
wrong
my
way.
shoe to make sure it was clean.
Right.
Well, we have before when we maybe had a few drinks. Sweet Virginia. But
No, that was very good. That was good.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Nice,
Thank you.
nice bluegrass kind of sound to it. I like
Yeah.
that. That was
Yeah.
good.
yeah.
So who is your so I guess who's the one who's making the call on the music? Is it the two of you guys because you're the singers? And
Well, I think it was alluded to earlier. It's fairly democratic, which can be a blessing and a curse. When you have a band Nazi in charge, then there's no doubt which path you're going down. But we've found that it's more, I guess, it's a more positive thing when everybody gets their input. Then they feel like they have some stake in the matter.
right.
And that includes, people that aren't singing and are just doing the rhythm, like Doug and Kevin on drums and John on guitar. They don't sing. We wish they would, but
Or could.
well, yeah, that's another discussion for another day.
Yeah.
But everybody gets a say so in the matter, and I think that it works better that way because of that.
So how you guys break up the other jobs in the band, because it's not just all about playing. Who's doing your booking?
So I'll hand the mic over here to Doug, who does a lot for us, and we're very appreciative on that end of things. So he can talk a little bit about that.
There you go.
So everybody in the band really brings in business. So it's not like we have one person or one booker. We do work with some bookers, but a lot of the business we bring in ourselves, and everybody in the band has brought in clients. Mm-hmm. So that's great because when everybody's pulling in the same direction, it's a force multiplier for your advertising and for your, ability to pull in gigs. We've been getting a lot of private parties. That's been working out really well. That's where you kind of make a little bit more money, I think, doing private parties. But from an administrative point of view, I end up doing a lot of the kind of business paperwork type stuff.
Right,
so,
right.
I'll distribute the payments to the band, and I work on a lot of the marketing materials.
After you take your cut, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But we split everything evenly. We don't have a structured system. I mean, it's all divided evenly.
Right.
So we do that. But I also handle the sound, for the band, and not because I'm a good sound engineer, but just because I'm dangerous enough to know how to do it. And when you're a small band playing just local venues, most bands can't afford to have a real sound guy do it. So it works out pretty good. We have a digital PA. We have a Behringer X18. And once we get a sound we like, I can save the settings, and then you just basically reload it the next time that you're playing it.
Well, and like everybody has improved on their respective instruments and or singing, Doug has improved enormously on his ability to mix the levels in a way that people come up and they'll go like, yeah, you guys sounded great. You were balanced. You know, we heard each one of you, but not too much of one and the other. So, you know, he's being kind of modest here. He's done a yeoman's job in really that area.
Yeah.
So.
Right. So did you kind of pick up the duty of doing all the paperwork and stuff, but maybe because of your daytime gig or where?
No, I'm a systems analyst, you know, in IT, but
so he does your website as well.
actually I do handle that and the Facebook social media stuff mostly. I mean, the other guys post too on it, but I think it was just kind of. It wasn't because anybody forced it on me or anything, or because I, you know, wanted to do it so badly. I forced them to let me do it.
Right.
It just kind of, it shook out that way. And everybody, the work is pretty well divided. I mean, like I said, everybody brings in business and, you know, Mike and Tom will get together and work on vocals on their own without being asked to do it. And a lot of things like that. So, I like the way it's pretty balanced and everybody really works to pull their own weight. In some bands, and I've heard a lot of stories and everything, you get one or two guys, all they care about is just show up and play, and they don't want to have anything to do with anything else with the band. But that's not how it is with us. Everybody participates pretty thoroughly.
Right.
And I was just going to add to that, like, we have a beautiful place to play at Mike's house. It's set up for a band and practice. So that's been going on, basically hosting us for these 8 years. We've had a couple other spots, but it's always come back to Mike's house or previous house or a new house. So we're very appreciative of that. And then the one thing I just wanted to add to, like Doug said, yeah, we really do split everything, including like when we're going to set all this stuff up, you know, we all stick around and take it down. It's not like I take my guitar and amp and see you guys, you know, have fun with the next hour and a half. Now, sometimes if one of us has got to go because of a kid or family reason, it's midnight.
Sure.
That's cool. But most of the time we're all taking it down, packing it up in the cars. And then Mike's taking it home. So we're also appreciative. He stores the stuff there and then unpacks on you know, his own down there and gets it ready for practice. So, it really is all of us contributing. I think that's, you know, we've had a few bumps, but I mean, for the most part, obviously positive being together and doing this for this long. The only time that we had a big break was COVID, and it was exactly 1 year we didn't get together, and it was exactly 1 year to the date. After that, we practiced, and then I think a week later we played in somebody's front yard, and that's how we got going again. It was awesome. So
yeah, we were able to, you know, have the social distancing thing of that particular time.
God, I hate that phrase.
I know
it's gone.
I know. It's it was probably one of the most frustrating stretches of time for us, and I know I'm preaching to everybody's choir when I say that. You know, especially musicians, you know, that like playing live in front of people, or any other entertainer for that matter. It really was such a drag to have to put that on hold, because I do remember at that time we were really kind of getting in a rhythm and a routine that looked like it was going to sustain us, you know, in high cotton, as they say. So, you know, we're trying to get back to that point now, and I think we're getting pretty close.
So where's the favorite place to play? Do you have a kind of like a home base that you play pretty regularly?
Well, we did for a while. And the first place we ever played at was a erstwhile bar that no longer exists called Tracy's in Clarendon Hills on 55th Street. That's where we kind of cut our teeth. And then we played there like 8 or 9 times, I think.
Yeah, we played maybe 3-4 times a year for a couple years. And then they didn't renew the music license, and now they're closed down.
Yeah, they're gone.
But I think we might have our own favorite spots, because like I know, well, I guess we could just say them out there, but I like a small spot like the Uptown in Westmont, but I know Mike hates it. So I think we all have our own little spots. We just played the Irish Patriot outside on their deck, and that was fun. So, I mean, do you guys have a particular place now that we play?
I've got a particular Jones for a place that I would like to play, and that would be just about any town in the west suburbs in the summertime, in these midweek gigs that they have. And we haven't had any luck cracking it. So anybody listening out there, Wednesday and Thursday nights, you do well to hire us.
And you can actually advertise them on the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.
You can. Absolutely. And I will tell you the name of that organization that you need to contact.
Oh boy.
After this podcast is over.
That'd be great, because cracking the village festivals, we've been trying to do it for years, and I've talked to bookers, and they say a lot of it's an inside thing, and people book their friends, or they have specific agents that they are contracted to work with, and so that's always been tough for us. We really want to crack. That'd be the next thing we'd really want to crack into.
Yeah. For those of you listening that want to know what the answer is, email us, and for a nominal fee, we'll give you that information.
We'll give you that information. Yes, we will.
Worth every penny.
It is worth every penny, and it's a lot simpler than you think it is, because really it's just a simple matter of going to a trade show. And I'll tell you more about that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. And mainly because I don't know if this particular organization wants us to say their name.
Right.
On the podcast. So
they are also not paying us.
Yeah.
Maybe we should write an original called Going to the Trade Show.
Going to the Trade Show.
We'll meet tomorrow and do that.
Yeah. No, there's all kinds of great things you can do. There's, the concerts in the park is what you're referring to, these hour and a half to 2 hour shows that go on Monday through Thursday during the summertime and everything. And there's a lot of great developing areas around here that are all up and coming. You mentioned Westmont. There's a few places in Westmont, around the corner from, the Uptown.
Right.
There's a couple of places.
Johnny's Blitz is one I think you're referring to. Yeah,
right, exactly. There's places in Lockport. There's places in downtown Plainford. There's all kinds of places like that like to have entertainment. Some of them actually have during the week. There's a few of them that have live entertainment, Monday through Sunday. So, I should say, I got that reversed, right? Sunday through Saturday, I guess would be the thing to say. So, yeah.
That'd be great.
So other than concerts in the park and stuff like that, what has to happen? We're almost at the end of 2024. Let's do a two-part question. What did you need to happen in 2024 in order for you to consider this to be a successful year for the Wrought Iron Soul Band?
That's a good question. I think everybody has, their own respective lives and schedules in addition to that oftentimes involve families and loved ones. And so you don't want to necessarily just shut that part of your life off entirely, but you would like something, at least I would like something on a fairly regular basis, to keep scratching that itch, Yeah. So in 2024, we've already done a few things that are of interest. We did something I'd like to put a shout out to, and that's the Barrington Porch Fest. That takes place usually in July, but always in the summertime. And it's put on by a man named Jay Isfan. And real briefly, a bunch of neighbors in an area will donate their front porches, and bands of all sizes, shapes, and kinds will play on the front porch of this person's house. And everybody comes in for free, and they get to walk up and down and get to see everything done out in the open on a person's porch. And I would love to continue that. I'd like to see more towns in the area incorporate something like that, and maybe we could be a part of it.
That sounds really interesting.
It's awesome. Yeah, it was the third year we played there, correct? And third annual. So I don't know if we're the main event or whatever, but we get to play on Jay's porch. So that's cool. But it's been so cool to just go there and see it grow, and get more porches, and then kind of see just more people out there. It's been really cool. As far as 2024, from my eyes, it's been really about getting new songs to play. You guys know I'm always pushing that, and it's tough because we'll think we'll have time, then all of a sudden a gig pops up or something, which is great. And then it's like, no, we got to get some sets down and kind of practice for that gig coming up. And so put that on the back burner. But I think we've worked it well this 2024 to where we've made the time to get those songs, try them out, and really, let our catalog grow, and then try them out there on the gigs and stuff. And that's what I was always pushing for this year, and hope we continue through the winter and next year just to make our catalog bigger.
Yeah.
So for me, my goals were to get more private parties, and we got 3 private parties, I think, this year that we did.
Interesting. I've never heard anybody say my goal is to get more private parties.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Why is
it's more lucrative, I think, for a band.
Built-in fan base too. The people like you automatically.
And
Trapped.
Also a good chance maybe for repeat business also. I mean, venues have a limit to what they can pay a band. Now you kind of make that up because you get repetitive, bookings with them. But, if you're doing a yard party or a wedding or we did a Halloween party last year. That was a lot of fun. So there's people that are a lot more enthusiastic. They pay more attention to the band too,
right.
Actually, and they're having a lot more fun and it frankly pays better. So we have we try to make it a little bit customized for the clients. So we'll let them look at our catalog and say, you could pick 10 songs. You pick 10 songs and we'll do, add those 10 into our 3 sets of songs and things like that. And sometimes
ones you don't want us to do as well.
Right. Or yeah, they can say, we don't want to hear these 3. We're sick of these. We have personal reasons we don't want to hear that, whatever. So, it's a lot, you have a lot more of a connection, I think, with, the audience is a little more enthusiastic with that. So that's one thing. The other thing would be eventually to get into the festival circuit, so that we can just kind of get around to some of the villages and everything, play a little bit earlier hours because we're all getting older. And, it'd be nice in the summer to maybe pack up while it's still twilight or something, So
if you learn how to do that, you let me know. Yeah. Okay. So then the other part of that end of the year is coming around, right? And let's just say you're going to have the proverbial band meeting. What's going to be the hot topic for 2025? Where are you guys going to go?
I don't know. That's a very good question. Oftentimes we don't really structure things with prearranged question and answers like that. We just sort of let it kind of develop organically. Mm-hmm. And eventually we get around to, what Thomas said, adding some new music, what Doug said, finding some new venues that are maybe a little more lucrative, have better hours. And then, just what everybody's hot buttons are. I guess you allow everybody to have the floor, you know, while you're noshing on your food and stuff and and have everybody's input. And I think maybe the most important thing is find out if everybody is still enthusiastic
and happy and
want to stay around.
Right. Right.
So
of course. So I'll tell you what, it's about that time where we got to start closing everything down. We'd like to get one more song out of you guys.
Yeah. Get one more song and we can take a quick break.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Take a quick break and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast.
I'm Christy from Crime Cave Podcast. I've had a huge interest in true crime since my days of watching marathons of Snapped back in the mid-90s. I needed an outlet to talk about the cases that have haunted me for a very long time. With each episode under 20 minutes, I shine a light on some of the most bizarre cases in the last 50 years. Join me in the Crime Cave.
One more time to kill the pain. feel summer creeping in and I'm tired of this town again. Well, I don't know, but I've been told you never slow down, you never grow old. Tired of screwing up, tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town. Oh my, oh hell yes. Gotta put on your party dress, buy me a drink, sing me a song, take me as I come, but I can't stay long. Last dance with Mary Jane, one more time to kill the pain. I feel summer creeping in and I'm tired of this town again. Down on Market Square, she's standing in her underwear, looking down from a hotel room. Nightfall will be coming soon. Oh my, oh hell yes. You gotta put on that party dress. It was too cold to cry when I woke up alone. I hit the last number, I walked to the road. Last dance with Mary Jane, one more time to kill the pain. I feel summer creeping in and I'm tired of this town again.
The Wrought Iron Soul Band right there.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right.
Tip jars in the front.
Thanks.
So tell everybody how they can find you. What's your website, anything like that?
So we have wroughtironsoul.com. We're also on Facebook, so just do a search for Wrought Iron Soul Band. And we haven't started anything on Instagram. I think that's the next thing maybe we should start doing, but we currently don't have that. But
right.
Those would be the two best ways to contact us.
Any gigs coming up at the end of November, December?
Well, we're not really booked out that far right now.
Okay.
Right.
But usually things come up, as we go along. We've got something coming up in a couple of weeks from when this was recorded, but it'll be gone. It'll be over by the time.
Yeah, it'll be over. It was a great show. We were there. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
that was awesome.
And that might actually be something we would also want to add to the mix as far as what we would like to strive to do, and that is get
time travel.
More of a yes, backwards.
Yeah. No. Get your social media and everything straightened out. So everybody just go back to their website, go to their Facebook page, check their calendar frequently and often. We are in the Chicago area.
See where they're at.
And see where they are and go out and see these guys.
Let your fingers do the walking. Oh, wait, you don't do that anymore.
No, we don't.
No. Well, I guess you're mousing. You're mousing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess so.
All righty, guys. Thanks for coming out.
Well, thank you guys for having us.
It's a great time.
Absolutely.
Greatly appreciate it.
Well, there you have it, Wrought Iron Soul. And once again, I'm wrong in the guess of the name.
Yep, you couldn't figure it out. Wrought Iron Soul. But I kind of like the name. That's pretty cool.
It is a cool name. I like the way they got it. That's pretty neat. I'm still going to keep trying to guess every week.
Yeah,
I'm going to try.
Yep. I thought they presented a pretty good message on the program this week. They're older guys. When they all started playing, they got together. They figured, I need to be disciplined. So they joined this organization. What was it? The Garage Band, and learned what it takes to put together a band. And I liked what Mike said. Mike was playing harmonica, and he said he just kept going to open jams and putting himself on stage, whether they wanted him there or not. And he started getting better.
Getting better and better. That's the way you do it. And anything. You play guitar, bass, drum, and horn. The more you play, the better you're going to get.
You sound great in your bedroom.
That's right.
But then you get on stage with other musicians and realize, oh shit, I got some stuff to learn.
You got some stuff to learn. And you know, you get over them jitters of playing in front of people or playing with other people. Right. Some people freak out about that, playing with somebody. Always worried. Don't worry about that. Just get up there and do it.
That's right.
People are there to help you.
That's right.
So, all right. Thanks again for listening to the podcast. And you can catch us every Tuesday for another exciting episode of the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast. See you next week.
The Rock and Roll Chicago podcast is edited by Paul Martin. Theme song courtesy of M&R Rush. The Rock and Roll Chicago podcast does not own the rights to any of the music heard on the show. The music is used to promote the guests that are featured.
Rock and Roll Chicago. Rock and